Hey guys, Lytane here, and thanks for coming here and checking out my video. You are awesome. Today I want to have a look at a style of game that is not particularly big in the West, the visual novels. And in particular, I want to have a look at a game with an incredibly long name that I might botch, so forgive me if I do, called 9 Hours, 9 Persons, 9 Doors, and see if it's worth it. 999 is a visual novel game with escape room puzzles that came out in December 2009 for the Nintendo DS. Written by Kitaro Uchikoshi and developed by Spike Chunsoft, you play as Junpei, a 20-year-old college student. Junpei awakens in a strange room that looks remarkably like the sleeping quarters on a ship. Trying to figure out what happened to him, he remembers a strange person in a gas mask appearing behind him and filling his bathroom with a white mist, knocking him out. He has been captured by a mysterious person and now he must escape. After escaping, he meets up with 8 other people and they are addressed by their kidnapper, Zero. They are playing what he likes to call the Nonary game, a life or death game based around the number 9, hence Nonary. But it's hard to trust these people that you've never met before, especially when they go by code names like Snake or Clover. It's even harder when the penalty for not following Zero's rules is death. From here on out, your choices matter as you go through the story and try and escape all these rooms in this no-nonsense, as just trying to make a pun of Nonary, but it's very, very hard game. A visual novel is just that. It's a game with a lot of reading and a lot of story. It's not just like reading a wall of text either. There'll be sprites and animations for what you were reading and who is talking, and they are animated and they move a little bit and they change depending on what's happening in the scene, so it doesn't get quite so dull and like boring as just say reading a book. When you aren't in the story sections of the game, you are in a room or a set of rooms and you are trying to figure out puzzles in order to escape. These are on the bottom of the screen and use the stylus in order to move objects around and select things in order to solve the puzzles. The puzzles are hugely varied as well and require you to look around the rooms in order to find items. These items can either be used in the room, such as a key to open a drawer, or combined in order to make something new, like a rag with water to get a damp rag. You can also find notes and clues to both the larger story and the puzzles in the room, helping you solve them. Most of the rooms are not that hard, but they can be tricky, and some require you to do things in a particular order to pass. Between every escape room, there are large chunks of story section, but if that's not enough story for you, even in the escape rooms themselves, you get little character dialogues and like little comments about what you're looking at and jokes, as well as full-fledged story sections within the escape rooms. Aside from talking about themselves, the characters also bring up a lot of pseudoscience and conspiracy theories that are actually really interesting and are based on real-life things. I was Googling so many things after I'd played the game and after they had told me something just to see if it was real. You may have noticed that you are on a ship and it looks like the Titanic, but did you know that the Titanic actually does have a sister ship? They talk about it in the game, although they do change some details in order to fit the narrative that they are trying to tell, but it's still pretty cool. They also talk about the reason the Titanic sank. It's because it had a mummy on board the ship. That's a discredited conspiracy, but they talk about it like it's real. They also talk about telepathy and morphogenetic fields and give you enough information about all of these to believe it. The crux of this game is of course its story, and it has many branching paths for you to choose from. Every time you come to a decision where you need to go into a door, you have to figure out the digital route of said door. Don't worry, there's too much math. Basically it means you just pick one, they do all the math for you. And depending on which choices you make and which characters you go through, you get different endings. There are 6 endings in this game, with 3 being bad, 1 being just neutral, 1 being kind of good, and 1 being the perfect ending, the true ending of the game. The graphics in this game are fairly simple. Each of the characters has multiple sprites that shift in order to show what mood and what they are saying. Some animation is also used on them to show that they aren't just static images and a little bit more real. All of the various rooms and the backgrounds are hand-drawn, both in the puzzle and the plot-related sections. There is even some special drawings in some cases to show something particular happening, such as the endings. This is accompanied by the music, with each escape room having their own own music, and the story sections having different music to set the mood. I honestly think it's pretty good, and some of the tunes were very catchy. 999 also got remastered on the PlayStation Vita and the PlayStation 4 in a collection called the Nonary games, which is bundled with its sequel game, Virtue's Last Reward. In this remake, some of the assets have been upgraded and some of the little details have been upgraded, but the most important thing is that they added voice acting to the whole game. The voice acting isn't the best thing in the world, but it's pretty good, and it was good to hear them actually talking because then you get different emotion and inflection in the voices that you can't get through text. But the best thing that this collection added was the flowchart. In the original game, you would have to play through the game at least 6 times in order to get the different endings, and it's the entire game. You'd have to sit through all the cutscenes and do the same puzzles again as well. If you made a mistake and you got an ending that you already done, then you have to do even more playthroughs. With this flowchart, you can skip to different parts of the game and you can see where the story branches are. So then you can just go there, hold the button to skip the text, and then make the choices that you need to make. It makes getting through the game a lot easier and a lot quicker. I'm about to get into the spoilers section of this game, and if you haven't played it before and even anything I've said has remotely interested you into going and playing this game, I urge you to not go into the spoilers because it will ruin parts of the story. Instead, just skip ahead to this time while I go into spoilers. First off, holy cow, Clover is crazy. Her axe ending was my very first ending that I got, and boy, I was shocked. I was making fun of her every time I saw her after that ending when she would say something. I'm like, oh man, she's crazy, she's gonna kill me. It was so much fun. I played through all the other endings as well before I got the best one, which gave me all the info that I needed in the game, and I recommend you do it that way so you don't miss out on any of the story. Because of this, on my third playthrough, I had narrowed down Zero to either Santa or June, and I was so happy that I was right. This made me feel really proud as there are quite a few clues throughout the game and I had mostly figured it out, but even with that knowledge, the true ending still shocked me. The fact that all of the puzzles were in the present and past, so to speak, and Junpei was connected in the morphogenetic field, so he knew things that he shouldn't, and so did June. Then he helps save past June so she could be alive today. This time travel loop confuses a lot of people on the internet, and maybe I'll do a follow-up video on my thoughts and theories and explanations about it later, but to me it makes sense. What I didn't like though was Seven and his amnesia, because it was a little annoying, especially in the true ending where it's implied that he knew what was going on the whole time. I think that's very confusing as it is never expanded upon further, and I prefer that he didn't know. Also, in that post-credit scene when you find All Ice, or should I say Alice, it was very exciting and I couldn't wait to see her and find out what her deal was, as they talk about it quite a few times throughout the game. I didn't like that Santa and June just kind of left at the end of the game, and I looked up some of the things that the creator had said, and according to him, they had other work to do, and that they were ashamed for putting all of these people through the Nonary game in the first place. I call a little bit of BS here. I want to know the fallout between these characters. In such a long character-driven story, it just felt like a little bit of a cheap ending. Plus, I know that Junpei would have forgiven June. Still, there are 2 more games in the series, so maybe it's left for them. The safe ending was one of my favorite endings as well, because man, Snake is crazy. How did he keep going with all those bullet holes in him? It's so silly, but it's also really badass at the same time. Now, one bad thing I have to say is the final reveal in the PS4 version is not nearly as powerful as the DS. As it's told from the action story point of view with the voice acting, very little of it has the descriptive text from the DS version unless you turn that on. So that ending when you realize that the bottom screen was June the whole time, it just really isn't there. There's still the good twist, but it was much better on the DS, and it's not handled nearly as well on the PS4. In my opinion, I think that 999 is worth it. It is such a unique game. The visual novel side of things is very cool, the story is well done, the characters are fun and interesting, and the escape room puzzles add a nice variety to the game, and they aren't too difficult either. Some of them are really challenging and some of the puzzles are a bit of a doozy, but honestly they aren't too bad. But the nature of this game being a visual novel means that it will not be for everyone. You will be doing copious amounts of reading in this game, and if you don't like that, you won't like this game. So I can't recommend it to everybody, but honestly, maybe you might like the PS4 version a little bit better because it's all voice acted, so you get to listen to the story instead of reading it. Personally, I like the PS4 version better than the DS, even though the very end of the game is a little different and it's not quite as good in the PS4 version, but still, I would prefer it over the DS version any day. So guys, tell me what you thought about 999. Did you like it? Did you hate it? And also, if you do put any comments down below, don't forget to put like spoiler tags in places, because I know if I had this game spoiled for me, I would have been very upset. Also, if I have done this just right, then this episode's length will be 9 minutes and 99 seconds. So hopefully I did that right, fingers crossed, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye! Yuchikoshi? Yuchikoshi. Man, Japanese names are fun. Yuchikoshi.